Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. My name is Jonny and I'm here today on FM Scout as a guest creator to bring you a deep dive into Transfer Deadline Day, show you all the nooks and crannies, and there are some cracking tips in here that I guarantee will make you a better player for FM. So the plan for today's video, we're going to do a run through of a transfer window. I'll show you how to lay the foundations, how to set up those scouting networks, and then when it gets to deadline day, how to make the most of that day. So make sure you stick around right until the end because there's so many tips in this one, I promise you. As mentioned, you will learn a lot from it. And before we get into it, a bit of admin. Of course, if you're new to FM Scout, pop down below, hit that subscribe button. There's also a link to my channel down there as well. Come on over, lots of Let's Plays, tactical videos, tips and top 5 lists. You can fill your boots with FM stuff over there. So let's get into it. We're going to start off laying the foundations at a club who have got a lot of money to burn in Football Manager this year. That's right, Newcastle United. So let's start with that. Let's jump in at the very beginning. Let's lay the foundations of this club to nail the deadline day. So number one on the list to lay those foundations is sorting out your staff. Super simple thing to do. It's quite easy to get the best staff in Football Manager, to be fair. Looking at Newcastle, they've got 10 recruitment team members. Absolutely terrible. We're going to go and sort that out straight away. And whilst you're waiting for those scouts to sign the dotted line, there's one more job you can crack on with, and the next bit is to analyse your team properly. Now, the whole point of doing this is you're going into deadline day knowing exactly what you need and where they're going to play. At this stage, you've got your tactic in mind and you need to work out what positions you need to fill. So to do that, we're on the squad view. We're going to come up to Analyst Report and click on Comparison. This is a lovely way to find out where your squad compares against everybody in that league. There's so many areas you can dive into within this, but we're going to focus on just a few, okay? Let's start with the defence. We've clicked up here on the defence, obviously, and it looks terrible. Tackling, jumping and marking, we are falling well below where we should be. So that's going to be a key area. Defensively, we need to strengthen big time. Coming up into midfield, it's a similar kind of story. We're struggling for tackling. Technique is terrible and decision making also. But again, across the board, midfielders are probably weaker than defenders right there. And then as we go forward, it's still bad, but there's areas that are better than the defence and the midfield. But again, finishing, long shots, jumping, anticipation, heading. Physically, we seem a very weak team. So I'd be interested if we click on the physical tab here to see how we square up. And unsurprisingly, we're very low. Apart from strength, where we're actually quite decent, the boys are strong, but aside from that, there's nothing. There's no agility, there's no pace. There's very poor jumping within this team. And we all know how important jumping is in this year's Football Manager. And this is the one page that probably tells the bigger story. We clicked on Technical. This is the worst area by far. Technically, this is a dreadful team. There's nothing there that we're good at, to be fair. We fall short with everything. So we kind of got a theme here of what we want to improve in our squad. Technical players. Defensively, we need to get players that are a lot more agile, physical. And as we come up into midfield, we need those technical players to step in. They're going to be more mobile on that pitch. So once you finish your analysis, you're going to come into the tactic view here. And this is my wonderful 4-4-1-1 tactic that I set up as part of my Legend to Legacy save. I've done a tactic video. This is actually a very good tactic. And in this part, you want to be really ruthless. What you want to do is get into that main 11 and put the players in there that you actually want. The rest, that's where we're going to improve. And look, this is Newcastle. They've got crazy money, £200 million. I can be a bit more extreme in this case. In yours, it may be there's 1 or 2 positions you want to improve. But for us, bloody hell, we're going wholesale. So once that's in place and your tactic is there and you know where you want to improve, I would suggest coming into your squad and then it's time to clear out all of that dead wood so we've got more money to play with, ready for the transfer window. Okay, so your new scouts are in the door. It's time to give them some work. You want to come into your scouting area here on the left-hand side, and the main part is under assignments. You will probably have scouting responsibility delegated to whoever's there. And the problem with that is that you can't actually create your own assignments. If you take control, you can see assignments pops up here. And that's what you want. You don't want to be sending out automatically. We know exactly who we want right now, and it's time to send them out to get them. So to create a new assignment, you want to come over here where it says, surprisingly enough, create new assignment. And this is where we can really nail down what we want. Player type. We're going to go for a first team player because that is what we need desperately. And they're going to fit into our formation. This is where Football Manager is very clever this year. Click on it and it brings up your formation. You can type any player you want in the world there. Messi, for example. FM Stinger did a very good video on this. I'm not going to go into it too much, but you can literally click on that and it brings up all the attributes suited to Messi. and hopefully go and find a lesser version of him. We're not going to do that. We want to find the positions, and there's a bit more fluidity then. So for example, the centre midfielder, this one's a deep line playmaker, this one is a box-to-box midfielder. It comes up automatically for you. So clever. Deep line playmaker, we need Joe Willock, is probably a decent box-to-box. So we're going to go with deep line playmaker. It brings up the attributes for that role. And you could even dive into more things if you want under additional conditions. You can say the player trait, nationality, if you need the homegrown status, for example. But we're just going to leave it as a basic deep line playmaker. And then you choose exactly who you want to send out. So judging current ability, that's going to be the important thing here. And Jose Botto is pretty good at that, isn't he? He's going to go to Portugal, Ukraine, Brazil, France, or at least where he's got the scouting knowledge to hopefully find us a very good central midfielder. And then once that's confirmed, just above my head, you can see Jose Botto has got a regular start, a deep line playmaker. Off he goes. And of course, you're going to do that for every one of those scouts. You've got to put the effort in if you want to find the players. And there we have it. All my scouts are out and about, keeping themselves busy, and they're going to send me lots of first team players, hopefully to buy. Once that's done, one more quick thing we're going to do, and this is super important. We've got a scouting budget of a healthy £720,000. You can play with that and take some off the transfer budget if you wanted to. We're not going to do our £200 million we want to spend. You're going to come into Scouting Centre here, and then you're going to click on the Players tab, and it's going to bring up where you'll all recognise where you search for the players. The main part here is the recruitment package that we're currently invested in. We've got UK and Ireland. We're going to go for the world, which will open up a wider pool of players that my scouts can then go and see. Because of course I've given them the money to go and spend it on hotels and burgers. And the final bit of prep you want to do, getting ready for your transfer deadline day, is your shortlist. And to do that, you'll get lots of these scouting update emails coming through alongside the recruitment meetings that you will have every couple of weeks before the transfer deadline. And the most important bit here is added to the shortlist. Now, I don't know about you, I don't really like these cards that come up. I like to go on the list. It gives me more information that I can just look at. There's lots of names there, and I can search quite easy, to be fair. So, for example, if I click on ability, I know that the best player that has been suggested is Rafinha from Leeds, which, to be fair, would be a very good signing for us. So if he is a player you want to buy, simply right-click on him, go to add to shortlist, and I would suggest indefinitely, because you can just remove him later on anyway. If you are a sucker for these cards, God help you, but there is an easier way. You come down here, click on add to shortlist, and then click on that tick button, and he'll put him there for you. And then to find that shortlist, you want to come back over to Scouting, all the way up to the top, and surprise, surprise, click on shortlist, and they're the two boys that we've added. This is going to be your little mini database in readiness for that deadline day. One more brilliant tip I'll throw you for free. I like to set up different shortlists. So I've got my shortlist for my first team, and then, for example, I will do future stars. So if any wonder kids pop up that I don't really need right now, I'll add them to that shortlist. So, for example, Thomas Estevez from FC Porto's got 5-star potential. If I wanted to put him in my future stars list, right-click, add to shortlist, future stars indefinitely. Happy days. Okay, one more tip before we get into deadline day, and another way to get players onto your shortlist, players that you might not know are even on your list anywhere. You want to click on the Scouting tab, as always, come up to players, and this is kind of the search function where you find most of your players. Believe it or not, up where it says transfer and loan, you can click on that little cog, and it gives you options. You can say extremely interested, so you've got a safe bet. Everybody on that list will pretty much come to your club, but go for doubtful if you want to kind of win them over. And again, between now and deadline day, get those scouts going to see those players, get the analysts watching them, and you'll turn a player from a very doubtful into a please can I come and join your club. So we're just 2 days away from transfer deadline day, and I've not spent a penny whatsoever. Nobody's even left the club, to be fair. I've just simmed forward to this date. If this is you, don't do that. As soon as those scouts are coming back with good players for you and that shortlist is filling up lovely, go and buy them. I'm just going to show you today how to nail deadline day. But in terms of buying players, you get them in as soon as possible. And it's deadline day. I should be wearing a yellow tie right now, but we're not going to because I would look silly. We're going to get involved with it. And if you've not seen this before, I'll show you the basics. Look, you click on take part and everything turns yellow. Wonderful. It does add an extra tab at the top there, and there are additional features that will pop up over the next 24 hours of this game, or actually 15 hours I should say, of where you can actually find players. First page that will come up is this one, and this is just all rumours, to be fair. There will be live transfers, so if players are actually bought or sold, it will pop up on there. This is quite a nice way actually to find out who's interested in coming with you. Like Osimhen, if he were to come to Newcastle, that would be immense. And he's wanted by ourselves, Manchester United, Real Madrid. It would be very tough to get him in. But let's say he wasn't on your radar whatsoever and he popped up there, jump in. The other additional tag is this one, deadline day. And as the time goes forward, a really nice feature is agent offers. They'll approach you with a player that they want to sell to you. I'll show you as and when they come in. Any players going out the door pop up here under attracting interest. Ryan Fraser and Sean Longstaff are both wanted by Everton and Burnley retrospectively. We could sell those. It even tells you what players you've got that are running out of their contract. 6 months left if you get to January, of course, and then they'll suggest maybe you could sell them during this window. And then the final tab is listed players, and what I like about this is that if these have been sat here for a long time, like these players have, it's a nice way to freshen them up. So Paul Dummett, for example, if I wanted to get rid of him, we can click on offer to clubs and it pops up again, offer to clubs, get out of here. But of course, the main thing for us, we need to spend this £200 million. So let's go and have some fun. So the first place we'll go to, which you would have done throughout the summer, of course, is going to your scouting area, going to the assignments and seeing what these boys you're spending a lot of money on have found over the summer for you. So let's start. For example, Mick Tate, I've asked you to get a striker for me. He's come back with one person, Ruben Castro, a 40-year-old Spanish striker. Okay, this is going to take some work. So you want to go through every one of these to find out the reports, see who they found, and of course, add them to your shortlist to create that nice pool of players. And apart from that shortlist, another nice way of finding all the players that have been scouted for you, all the hard work that's been done leading up to this point, click on players, and you can search what their recommendation is. So all these A+s, they love, they want in the club. And you can just start there, work your way down, even chuck a filter in there. So for example, we desperately need a shadow striker. Are there going to be any shadow strikers that we've had scouted over the summer? Jonathan David is an A+. What's he like? He's decent. 21-year-old Canadian, room to grow, bit of pace up there, technically decent. We'll take a look at this, lad. Of course, the new feature this year, you can go and speak to the agent, have a chat. We are keen on Jonny boy. Can we get him in? 53 and 82 million pound. That's a lot of money for what he is. If you wanted to spend that, you can. I'm going to be frugal. I'm not buying him. Okay, so I've made a load of bids for players. I've gone into the shortlist. I've gone through each position that we want to buy. I've looked at the best players they've suggested, and fair play. There's some absolute corkers there. Nice thing you can do here as well is to click on the Ask Agent on the bar there. It's an easy way to get into it. Very user-friendly. That's a good move, Sports Interactive. Another thing you want to do, and do you know what? 15 hours isn't a lot of time. I would do all this at the first hour of the transfer deadline day because it will go in the blink of an eye, trust me. Hit new search. You want to come up here for transfer status and find out who's actually listed on the market. Because what you might find is there are some absolute bargains out there. First one popping up, look, Danny Ceballos. He's an A+, £3.8 million. Let's take a look at him. That's an absolute steal. If you remember, going back earlier on, we are lacking technically in this team. There's not many players who can play the ball and dominate. With this tactic we're using as a deep line playmaker, I'd imagine Danny Boy would be very good indeed. And again, the main reason why you're doing this so early on is because as soon as these offers are accepted, we're into contract talks. And if you can see here, we've got Renan Lolly, £21 million through the door. Liverpool are sniffing around. I would always do the negotiations yourself. Giving it to a staff member, an AI staff member, you're just asking for trouble. Now, I found more than any other year, this is incredibly important, this bit here. If you want a player, make him a star player, trust me, because at this stage, if you got to transfer deadline day, and there's even just one player after, you can't mess around because they are quite fickle. They will just drop out of this immediately. So Renan, he will genuinely be a star player. I'm happy putting him there. Don't get me wrong, if he's a terrible player, don't do star player, put him as an important or maybe even a squad player. Final thing to bear in mind here is the wage budget, of course. If he's asking for 100 grand a week, we've got a budget of 600,000. We're bringing in a lot of players. You want to work out where your priorities lie. Like Renan is a priority, so we're going to go big for him. And hopefully he'll be with us by the end of this deadline day. Perfect example of where you're going to manage the wage budget. Victor wants to come to us through gritted teeth. He's got a minimum fee release clause, so he's got to come to us. £86 million. We've agreed it with the club. We go to negotiations, and he wants nearly £300,000 a week, and we've spent it all already, mate. So I'm afraid we're going to walk away. And of course, if we hadn't have put these bids in for these players beforehand, we would have had that because we had £600,000 a week. So I would honestly prioritise exactly who you want to buy first and start bartering with those first. And here we are on deadline day, and we're starting to get the agent offers coming through, as I mentioned previously. So this is a really nice feature. They come directly to you. So Lucas Klosterman, Bernd Leno and Anthony Lozano, they come to us. We know exactly the transfer value, what they would sell them for. So Lozano, for example, pretty much £5 million. He's a C rate in my staff think. Let's take a look at him together. Yep. No good, we're not going to buy him, but you may find a good one. Klosterman, he's an A rating for 10 to 50 million pound. He can play across the back. See, that's a player that I would go for. Those physicals are brilliant this year. Mentals are solid. Technically, he's good in the right areas. I would never have found this player if it wasn't for that. So well done. Thank you very much, Mr. Agent. Okay, we're on the 11th hour. I put the bids in on the 15th hour. We put the contracts in the 14th hour. And on the 11th hour, they've accepted. So a 3-hour turnaround it would take in the transfer window. We'll accept that. Babu and Mancini, two very good signings that my scouts have found through that shortlist. We've got them in the door. Very happy with that. And Renan Lodi's through the door. Another work permit. He took 1 hour longer. That's 4 hours. It's good to know. You need to know how long these players are going to take to get the paperwork done at a maximum level so you know when to really start closing up things. Anthony was the final one we'd put an offer in. So all of the signings that I approached on the 15-hour mark, by the 10-hour, they're all in the bag. They're all in Newcastle, having a jolly. Now you can see where the land lays to maybe get some last-minute surprises through the door. First thing to do, check that budget. We've got £62 million left, and we've now got £500,000 budget left. But with that money, you can go and have a last-minute bit of fun. So it's 9 hours to go. It took us 5 hours, remember, to get those last players in. We'll get a warning, and I'll show you about that. If it's too late in the window and you can't get the paperwork done, it does come up to say, we suggest you loan this player instead. But with our time left, we've got time to get some more through the door. So we'll come back to the tactics page. Again, it's all about planning and preparing. We'll come back here, we'll put the players in that we bought, which I've done now. And as you can see, it's a 4-4-1-1 for Newcastle. That's quite a strong area. Looking at the roll ability down here, you'd argue that the weak point is Joe Willock. He's not a shadow striker. He's going to be a very good midfielder that can battle it out with Ceballos, Vecino in the middle there. So really, I think we need a shadow striker. 9 hours to go. Let's see if we can find one. And I'm going to show you my last final tip, and this is an absolute cracker, to find a player we can slot straight into this first team. Let's go. So we're going to come into the transfers tab, up to the director of football again, right back at the beginning where we've improved all our team of staff. The director of football is on that list, and finally we need to use him. So you're going to come into here, you got transfer loan, end of contract, or free transfer. We need a shadow striker. We'll click on the AMC role, and let's just see what he brings up first of all, across the board. And he's suggested 3 players. So of those 3 players, we've got Oscar, who isn't a shadow striker in the slightest. We're not going to touch him. Ilicic, who I love as a player. He is so good. And as a shadow striker, I would argue he would be very good indeed. And the third one is Georgian de Arasaita. As a shadow striker, he's cheap. We could get him quite easy as well. But I want to find some proper shadow strikers, and those are just attacking midfielders. We'll come back into here and we'll drop that down to shadow striker and see what he suggests this time. And he's given me 3 proper ones this time. And of those 3, this one, Alexis McAllister of Brighton, is a very well-rounded player. He's got 2 caps for Argentina. We could afford him. Again, a nice way for your director of football to get involved with your recruitment. If you are up against it and you've got no idea who to bring in, this is another nice tool to help you. The final part of deadline day, again, we've got 9 hours. Let's go big on one player. Let's see if we can snag a big fish. And this big fish is going to be Zaniolo. He's a fantastic player. He's got a £62 million release clause. So we're going to make that offer. Okay, 9 hours. He's accepted. We're going to go in. He wants a star player role, £140,000 a week. We can afford it. Let's adjust those terms. It's accepted. Is he going to get through the door? We got 9 hours left. The last one's took 5 hours with a work permit. Zaniolo doesn't need it. I think we've got him in the bag. My mistake, of course, everybody needs bloody work permits nowadays. He is in the bag. We've got him in. That is a nice, big deadline day sign-in. So as I mentioned earlier, towards the end of the transfer deadline day, for us is 2 hours left. You may not be able to get those signers through the door, so you might still be fishing around for that perfect player. But there's a get around, okay? So for Jordan Latomba, for example, we come to him. We know that he wants to go. The agents come to us. And in typical fashion, Latomba's turned us down. Nice one to keep because he's a first-team player. So there's 1 hour left. Imagine you got one player you're desperate to get. Again, this is what you do. Scouting tab, hit those players. We're going to come over here and clear the search we've got currently. We just want players that are actually on the loan market right now. Loan status, they're listed. Let's click on OK. Right, who can we go and get? So Rodrigo, Brian Gill, Harvey Elliott, some good players there. And then we're going to choose one of these players. So Rodrigo is one that stands out. He's a very talented player for Real Madrid. We'll make an offer for him, again, on loan. This one's going to be populated with the last one. Of course it was, and we had to kind of fight for him. Real Madrid are happy to let him go. The one bit I'd argue here, you've got the option of future fee. I take that out if you're doing a long-term save. For the sake of an experiment, we'll go ahead with it. We'll finalise the offer. So it's 1 hour to go. Are we going to get him through the door or not? It's accepted. Is it going to go through? Let's hit continue. With an hour left, are we going to get Rodrigo? We are, and that includes a work permit. There we have it. If you've got somebody you're buying, it can take up to 5 hours to get him through the door. With a loanee, it took bloody quarter of an hour. Not bad at all. And then the final part, when the deadline day is almost done, when you're sweaty, you're a stressful mess and it's all finished and you spent £200 million, up here, conclude transfer business. If you want to finish it early and just relax, hit that button, the yellow disappears and life goes back to normal. So in the space of, 15 hours, we've pretty much built an entire squad here for Newcastle. Let me know down below in the comments, out of 10, how good is that squad? For considering it was bought in one day, I'm going to give myself a solid 8 out of 10. No doubt you've all done Newcastle saves and had a bit of fun with it. And there's probably bigger players you can buy, but that is not bad at all. So that's it, boys and girls. Really hope you enjoyed today's video. Again, my name's Jonny. I've got a channel called JDFM. Link will be down below. If you want to pop on over to subscribe, it would mean an awful lot to me. And whilst you're down there, hit that thumbs up button to let me know you've enjoyed today's video. And if you're new to FM Scout, God, where have you been for the last 14 years? Subscribe to the channel for lots more content like this. And apart from that, I'll see you all soon. Take care of yourselves.